So not only we got the Jewel Knight support along with Amon for the Tuesday stream, but we also got Dudley Emperor Reverse. So let's begin. But first, let's start off with a Lyrical Monasterio card. That being a double rare, another Adube in the Eternity Irene. Grade 1 AK power and skills. Auto rearguard. When this card boosts a ghost normal unit, that unit gets plus 2k power to the end of that battle, and then at the end of the battle you put that boosted rearguard to the bottom of your deck. This is important for ghosts because you want to clear up your front row rearguard circles just so you could drive check more ghosts and then call them for more attacks. So obvious must play for your ghost deck. And then to the new Spike Brothers stuff, we start off with Machine Gun Gloria. Grade 1 AK power and skills. Auto, when this unit is retired from Guardian Circle, cost counterblast 1, call this to open rearguard. Not sure it's completely worth counterblasting 1 to reuse her, but her second skill is pretty good as well, because her second skill is auto rearguard. At the end of the battle that this unit boosts a rearguard, costs put 2 rearguards in the same column as this unit to the bottom of the deck in any order and then draw a card. This is of course important for Spike Brothers because you want to clear up your field so you can call more stuff from your deck, and in many cases recall those units that you put back to your deck. So mostly play this for the second skill. Next, Agile Fullback. Grade 2 tanky power and skills. Auto, when placed on back row rearguard circle, until the end of turn this card can attack from the back row, and then if it was placed by card ability, plus 10k. Yeah, thanks to this skill you basically now have another rearguard circle that could attack. And Spike Brothers is known for having some high rearguard attacks, so this skill alone already makes it a must play. But it also has a second skill where auto rearguard at the start of your main phase costs put this card to soul, search your deck for a copy of itself and call it to rearguard, and then shuffle your deck. The point of the second skill is that not only it goes to soul, which is important for Spike Brothers, but it also triggers the first skill with some extra power. Because keep in mind, this will be behind the Vanguard. So if it happens to be stuck there for a turn, well, this second skill fixed that problem because otherwise it will be useless. But yeah, this card basically enables another rearguard attack, so it's a must play in Spikes. Finally, Great Demon Emperor, Dudley Emperor Leadus. Grade 3, 13k power, 4 sentence skills. Auto Vanguard. When your rearguard is put to your deck during the battle phase, cost lock a rearguard in stand position, and then until the end of turn this card gets plus 10k power, and if your opponent's at grade 3 or greater, you can cost, discard a card from your hand, and drive plus 1. This isn't too bad, but you are going to be losing your boosters from it, but considering that Spikes is known for having big rearguard attacks, this isn't exactly too bad. Especially it gets itself power as well, which is very helpful. But the second skill is Auto Vanguard. When this card attacks, if you have no grade 2 or lower units, cost counterblast 1, soul blast 1, search your deck for 1 normal unit and call it to rearguard, and then shuffle your deck. Alright, so the upside compared to the regular Dudley Emperor with this is that this could call any unit, so it's generic, but this feels like an overcosted Dudley Emperor because it costs an extra soul blast as well. But at least this is generic, so meaning that you could call any Spike Brothers card, giving you even more combo plays. But overall, I'll have to say that this isn't really amazing compared to some other Spike Brother units. And now to the Tuesday stream. First off, we're going to start off with the new Amon stuff with Amon's follower Full Genie. Grade 1 AK power and skills. At Vanguard rearguard, once per turn cost, put a card from your hand into your soul, draw a card. Your opponent chooses a card from your hand and put it to soul, and then draw a card. So the new playstyle for Amon focuses on your opponent putting more cards in soul. I don't know exactly how I feel about that, but considering that they did something similar with Malkuth Melekh, I really hope that there's actually really good benefits from it, because I don't know how I feel about giving my opponent resources. But anyway, second skill, Auto Rearguard. At the start of your battle phase, if your opponent has 6 or more cards in soul, you may soul charge 1. If you soul charge, choose one of your units, it gets plus 5k power until the end of turn. So not much benefit of giving your opponent soul so far, but we have to wait till grade 3 because grade 3 is usually the main card. But basically this card helps sets up for Amon playstyle. Next, Amon's follower Ronjinin. Grade 2, 90 power and skills. Auto, when placed on Vanguard rearguard, soul charge 1, and your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand or rearguard and put it to soul. If they did not put a card, you soul charge 1. Again, giving your opponent resources, but this time they could actually minus, which is much better than the grade 1, although the grade 1 you could play the deck out game on them because you force them to draw a card, but that's besides the point because you're still giving your opponent resources. So let's see the benefit. Second skill, count Rearguard Guardian. If your opponent has 6 or more cards, this card gets plus 10k power and 10k shield on your opponent's turn 2. Not exactly too bad, but still giving your opponent resources. And now, Demon World Marquise Amon. Grade 3, 12k power, protect, and its skills. Act Vanguard, once per turn, cost put a rear guard and a card from your hand and a card from your drop zone into your soul. Then your opponent chooses 2 cards from their rear guard, hand, and drop zone and put them to soul. And if your opponent did not put 6 cards into their soul, you get drive +1 to the end of turn. Alright, this isn't too bad. It reminds me a little bit about Seraph Moonlight because this actually forces your opponent to minus. But not only that, if your opponent does not put the max number of cards to benefit you, you basically get another benefit. And also, you get to choice soul charge 3 cards with this skill, which is actually pretty nice. But still, giving your opponent resources might not be the best idea. Luckily, most decks does not utilize soul too much, but still. Now on to the second skill. Count Vanguard Rearguard. During turn, this card gets plus 5k power for every 6 card in your soul, and if it's on Vanguard, this card gets plus 10k instead. I mean, this is Dark Irregulars we're talking about, so they're going to soul charge a lot for their own soul. I'm just surprised that this skill doesn't say your opponent's soul, but hey, if you have more control over it, the better. But it also has a third skill, Count Vanguard. This card gets 1 crit for every 6 card your opponent has in soul. I mean, it could be very nasty if your opponent has a lot of cards in soul, but at the same time it also benefits them, so I don't know exactly how I feel about this. Unless if you're trying to deck out your opponent, I don't know exactly how good this is going to exactly be. Hopefully the next wave of Amon support with Amon Reverse hopefully will fix this. Because so far letting your opponent soul charge a lot isn't really helping out too much. But considering that they did something decent with Malkuth Melekh, I do have some hope with Amon. And now to the Jewel Knight stuff. Our first card is Fruiting Jewel Knight Eunice. Grade 1, 80 power and skills. Auto Rearguard. At the end of the battle that this unit boosts, cost put a normal unit from your drop zone to the bottom of the deck, soul charge 1, and return this to your hand. Very nice. Not only that you can recycle, and it's generic, you can soul charge, which helps out Jewel Knight a lot, especially because Jewel Knight becomes an engine for pretty much any Royal Paladin deck, and you get a 10k shield back to your hand. So this skill is already pretty good. But its second skill, Auto Vanguard Rearguard. When a unit is placed on top of this card, choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the same column as that placed unit and retire it. If no units were retired, you draw a card. I mean, Royal Paladin has a lot of multi-attack decks, so using the Jewel Knight engine for that is actually not bad. And with Jewel Knights, you're very likely to place something on top of this, so you will get some benefit off this second skill as well. And besides, Jewel Knights is a good soul charge engine, and returning it back to your hand also opens up your rear guard circle, thus negating any type of minuses that you might make. So yeah, if you're playing the Jewel Knight engine in your Royal Paladin deck, definitely run this card. Next, Dogmatized Jewel Knight Sispel. Grade 2, tank your power and skills. Auto Vanguard Rearguard. When this card attacks, cost put a grade 2 or less card from your hand to soul and draw a card. So you just basically gave Royal Paladin a card to put anything to soul, which is a good setup card for many decks. Looking at you, Blaster Blade. But anyway, second skill, Auto Vanguard Rearguard. When your unit is placed on top of this card, look at top 3 cards of your deck, and then choose 1 grade 2 or less Jewel Knight from among them and call it to Rearguard, and then put the rest of the bottom of the deck in any order. So you basically just gave a gold Paladin effect on a Royal Paladin, but that's besides the point, because this just enables another call, which could be another booster or just more multi-attack. So it's a definite must play for your Jewel Knights. Finally, leading Jewel Knight Salome. Grade 3, 13 power, force, and skills. Auto Vanguard once per turn. At the end of the battle that this card attack, cost counterblast 1, choose any number of Jewel Knights from your hand and call them to rearguard with units on them. And then, if you called at least 3 or more cards, and your opponent is at least at grade 3, you can Soul Blast 4 to stand this unit. Well, Jewel Knight soul charges a lot, so the soul might not be a problem. And the call from your hand can be considered a minus, but also giving you more attacks on top of it can be considered a minus, but if you restand this, you technically minus 1 card in hand for 3 more attacks at least. And don't forget about the other Jewel Knight effects when you call something on top of them. And on top of that, there are other Jewel Knight effects that activate in mid-battle. So with this skill alone, and if you have all the resources, you can potentially get at least 6 attacks in 1 turn. Yeah, that can be very nasty, especially with the second skill, where Auto Vanguard Rearguard. When a unit is placed on top of this card, cost counterblast 1, that unit gets plus 10k power and drive plus 1 to the end of turn. And no, if it's called on the top of the rearguard circle, that unit does not get a drive plus 1. So you might not use this skill if it's on rearguard, but oh boy, if you ride a restanding Vanguard on top of her, that's a double triple drive attack. And since it says something on place on top of her, meaning if you stride, that stride unit gets a quadruple drive. You combine it with Crystal Luster, you get a double quadruple drive because it copies this card's skill. Yeah, I see Crystal Luster to be a problem in the future, and this card combined with Ashley can be already nasty itself because double Vanguard attack with 2 crits each. If you combine it with a Force 2, that's 3 crits each, but I recommend Force 1 because it lacks power. So yeah, at a cost of 1 card in hand, you can potentially get at least 6 attacks. And in Premium Rise, you can use the second skill because anything placed on top of it will also get that extra drive check, and if that was Crystal Luster, well, it's quadruple drive plus a quadruple drive. Very tempted to play, but I do see an Ashley reverse soon. But overall, I really like this card. And finally, we're gonna get the reveal of Cecilia reverse in a demonstration fight, and that will be against the new Jewel Knights. Looking forward to it. So that's it for these reveals. What do you guys think about the new Dudley Emperor Reverse, the new Amon, and the new Jewel Knights? Dudley Emperor Reverse is a little iffy, but the support cards are definitely really good for Spike Brothers. Amon a little iffy about because you are giving your opponent resources, but hopefully they do make it like it's Malkuth Melekh where you give your opponent resources and it benefits you a lot. And then the new Jewel Knight stuff, if you play the Jewel Knight engine, some of these cards is a must play, but if you want to build a full Jewel Knight deck itself, this is definitely really good support. Hopefully they make Ashley reverse just as good as well. But in that's it for this, and see you all next time.